Tashandra remembered her youth. It felt like a sun-drenched afternoon. Laughter came easily then. Dreams were bright and seemed simple to reach. She was full of hope. She believed good things would always find her. Life felt like an open road, stretching ahead with endless possibilities. She carried a lightness in her step. Her heart was open to the world. The future was a promise, whispered on the wind. She couldn't imagine the storms that lay ahead in later years. She met Ray in her early 20s. He was kind and steady. His eyes held a warmth that made her feel safe. They fell in love. It was a gentle love, a comfortable love. It felt like coming home. They built a life together, brick by brick. They bought a small house with a big yard. They imagined their children playing there. Their dreams intertwined. They planned a future filled with shared moments and quiet joys. He was her rock, her constant star. Soon, the house filled with more love. 3 beautiful children arrived, one after another. Their names were Maya, Leo, and little Sophie. Tashandra poured her heart into being a mother. She loved their small hands and sleepy smiles. Ray was a good father. He worked hard to provide for them. Their family felt complete. Their days were busy, filled with school runs and bedtime stories. It was a life many people wished for. A life she cherished deeply, a comfortable rhythm. Life was not always perfect, of course. There were small arguments. There were worries about money sometimes, but these felt like tiny bumps on a mostly smooth road. Tashandra believed their love was strong enough. She thought it could weather any storm. She saw other couples struggle. She felt grateful for what she and Ray had. They were a team. They faced the world together. She thought this golden time would last forever, a constant, unwavering light in her existence. Then Tashandra turned 40. Something shifted inside her. It was like the sun moved behind a cloud. The world looked a little less bright. She looked in the mirror. She saw new lines around her eyes. She felt a restlessness she could not name. The daily routine started to feel heavy. The rhythm of her life, once comforting, now felt like a cage. She wondered if this was all there was. Was this the peak? Was it all downhill from here? These questions haunted her quiet moments, unsettling her spirit. The pressures of life seemed to grow heavier. The children were older now. They had their own lives, their own worries. Ray was often tired from work. Their conversations became shorter. They talked about bills and schedules. The easy laughter they once shared felt distant. Tashandra felt a growing sense of being unseen. She felt like a part of the furniture. She yearned for something more, a spark, a feeling of being truly alive. She missed the connection they once had so effortlessly. She tried to talk to Ray about it, but the words felt clumsy. He didn't seem to understand. He would say, "We have a good life, Tash. What's wrong?" And she couldn't quite explain the emptiness she felt. It wasn't that life was bad, it was just flat. She felt a deep loneliness, even when surrounded by her family. She wanted to feel desired, not just needed. The silence between them grew, filled with unspoken longings and misunderstandings. She felt herself drifting further away. This was a dangerous time for Tashandra. She felt vulnerable. She longed for excitement. She wanted to feel like the woman she was before the responsibilities piled up, before the routine settled in like dust. She missed the thrill of the unknown. She started to look outside her marriage, not consciously at first, but her heart was searching. It was looking for an escape. It was looking for a way to feel young and vibrant again, a way to reclaim a part of herself she felt she had lost. It was during this time of quiet discontent that Casey entered her life. He was a colleague from a different department. He was charming and paid her attention. He noticed her new haircut. He asked about her day and he listened. Really listened, or so it seemed to Tashandra. He made her laugh. His eyes held a spark that reminded her of her younger self. He represented something new, something exciting. He was a distraction from the mundane. He was a whisper of what could be a dangerous, thrilling possibility. Casey made her feel seen again. He complimented her. He told her she was smart and beautiful. These were words she hadn't heard in a long time. Or perhaps she hadn't allowed herself to hear them from Ray. With Casey, she felt a flicker of the woman she used to be, the woman who was adventurous and passionate. He made her feel desired. This attention was like a drug. It filled a void she hadn't fully acknowledged until he appeared. Slowly, she began to crave his presence, his words. Their conversations started innocently. Coffee breaks became longer. Emails became more personal. Tashandra knew it was wrong. A small voice in her head warned her. But another, louder voice craved the excitement. She told herself it was just a friendship. She told herself she deserved a little happiness. She was careful, she kept it hidden, but the secrecy itself added to the thrill. It was a dangerous game she was playing, and she was drawn deeper into its allure with each passing day. The lines began to blur. Friendship turned into something more. A lingering touch, a stolen glance, the emotional connection deepened. Tashandra felt alive in a way she hadn't in years. She was making a mistake, a huge, life-altering mistake. But in those moments, blinded by the new attention, she couldn't see the full extent of the damage she was causing. She was caught in a current, pulling her further away from the life she had built, towards an unknown and perilous shore. The truth, as it often does, found its way into the light. Ray discovered the affair. Tashandra never knew exactly how. Perhaps it was a message seen by chance. Perhaps it was the change in her he couldn't ignore any longer. The moment he confronted her was shattering. His face was a mask of pain and disbelief. The steady man she had known for so many years looked broken. His voice, usually so calm, trembled with hurt and anger. The comfortable world they had built together crumbled around them in an instant. There was no going back from that moment. The betrayal was too deep. The trust was irrevocably broken. Ray was devastated. Tashandra saw the immense pain she had caused, not just to Ray, but to her children. The weight of her actions crashed down on her. There were tears and shouting. There were long, agonizing silences. The home that once felt full of love now echoed with sorrow and recrimination. She tried to explain, to apologize, but the words felt hollow even to her own ears. The decision for divorce came quickly. Ray could not forgive her. He could not live with the ghost of her betrayal. Tashandra didn't fight it. How could she? She had been the one to break their vows. She had been the one to seek something outside their marriage. The legal process was cold and brutal. They had to divide their lives, their possessions, their memories. The children were caught in the middle. Their confusion and sadness were a constant, painful reminder of her choices. This was the price of her secrets. The life she had known was over. The man she had shared it with was now a stranger, his eyes filled with the pain she had put there. Her family was fractured. She felt a profound sense of loss. It wasn't just the loss of her marriage, it was the loss of her own integrity. The loss of the woman she thought she was. She had chased a fleeting feeling of excitement, and in doing so, she had destroyed something precious and irreplaceable. The reality of her actions was a bitter pill to swallow. Section 5. A different path taken life with KC. After the divorce was finalized, Tashandra moved in with KC. It felt like stepping into a whirlwind. Everything was new and uncertain. She had left her home, her familiar life. She was starting over. There was a strange mix of emotions, a sliver of hope for this new beginning, but also a heavy sense of guilt and regret. She tried to push those feelings down. She tried to focus on building a new life with KC. He had promised her happiness. He had promised her a fresh start. Then came another shock. Tashandra discovered she was pregnant with KC's child. This complicated everything further. She already had 3 children who were struggling with the divorce. Now a new baby was coming. KC seemed happy about the news at first. He talked about their future together. He said this baby would solidify their bond. Tashandra wanted to believe him. She clung to the hope that this new child would bring them closer, that it would somehow make everything right, a new focus for their shared life. Living with KC was different from what she had imagined. The thrill of the affair faded quickly. The reality of everyday life set in. KC was not like Ray. He was more impulsive, less reliable. The charming attention he had once lavished on her began to wane. There were arguments. There were financial worries. The foundation of their relationship felt shaky. It had been built on secrets and excitement. Now, faced with real-life challenges, it started to show cracks. She began to see him more clearly now. Tashandra tried to make it work. She focused on the upcoming baby. She tried to create a sense of stability for herself and for her children when they visited, but a sense of unease grew within her. Was this the happiness she had risked everything for? Was this man who was so different from Ray truly her future? The doubts crowded her mind, especially in the quiet hours of the night. She felt increasingly isolated, adrift in this new life she had chosen, a life that felt less and less like her own. Section 6. The Harsh Dawn, Abandonment, and Ray's New Chapter. The illusion of a happy future with KC shattered completely when he left. Tashandra was 7 months pregnant. He said he wasn't ready for this. He wasn't ready for the responsibility of another child, of a blended family. He packed his bags and walked out, just like that. Tashandra was left alone, stunned, heartbroken and terrified. She had given up her marriage, her home, her stability for this man. And now he was gone. The weight of her choices felt unbearable. She was truly on her own now. The news of Ray came like another blow, though a different kind. He had moved on. He had met someone new, a kind woman named Sarah. Friends told Tashandra that Ray seemed happy, truly happy. He was smiling again. He was rebuilding his life. A part of Tashandra felt a pang of jealousy. A part of her felt a deep, aching sadness. He deserved happiness, she knew that. But it was a stark reminder of what she had lost, what she had thrown away. He was finding peace while she was adrift in a storm of her own making. Her days became a struggle for survival. She had to find a new place to live. She had to prepare for the baby on her own. Her older children saw her pain. They tried to be strong for her, but she knew they were hurting too. The loneliness was overwhelming. There was no one to share her fears with, no one to offer comfort. She had made her bed, as the saying goes, and now she had to lie in it. And it was a cold, empty bed indeed. The reality of her situation was harsh and unforgiving. She often thought about Ray, about the life they had shared, the simple joys, the comfortable silences, the steady love she had taken for granted. She had traded it all for a fleeting thrill. And now she had nothing but regret and a baby on the way. The contrast between Ray's newfound happiness and her own desolation was a bitter pill. She had not only destroyed her own happiness, but had also caused immense pain to the person who had loved her most faithfully. This realization cut her deeper than KC's abandonment. Section 7. Searching for a hand to hold, dating after 40. After her baby, a little boy she named Noah, was born, Tashandra slowly began to think about her future. The loneliness was a constant companion. She was over 40 now, a single mother of 4. The thought of dating again felt daunting. Where would she even begin? The world felt different. Society had its expectations. She felt the judgment of others, sometimes spoken, sometimes just a look. She carried the label of a divorced woman, the one who had made mistakes. It was a heavy burden to bear. She decided to try. She created an online dating profile. It felt strange. Exposing herself like that, the responses were few. Many men her age were looking for women without children, or younger women, or women without a complicated past. She went on a few dates. They were mostly awkward and disappointing. Some men seemed interested only in a casual fling. Others were put off by her story, by the number of children she had. Each failed date chipped away at her already fragile confidence. She missed the easy companionship of marriage. She missed having a partner, but finding that again seemed impossible. She felt old and tired. She wondered if she was destined to be alone. The societal pressure to be coupled, to have a partner, was immense, yet the path to finding one seemed riddled with obstacles. Her age, her children, her past, they all felt like barriers. She saw other women her age who were happily married or confidently single. She felt stuck somewhere in between, longing for connection but unable to find it. The dating world was a harsh reminder of her choices. She had carelessly thrown away a loving marriage. Now she was struggling to find even a semblance of that connection. It made her realize how much she had taken Ray for granted. His loyalty, his commitment, his quiet love. These were treasures she had not valued until they were gone. The search for new love was not just about finding a partner. It was also a painful journey of confronting her past and the consequences of her actions. Each empty coffee cup after a lackluster date felt like a testament to her folly. Section 8. The weight of what was confronting past mistakes. The more Tashandra tried to move forward, the more her past seemed to haunt her. The quiet evenings after the children were asleep were the hardest. Her mind would replay scenes from her marriage to Ray, his easy smile, the way he used to hold her hand, the life they had built so carefully, so lovingly, and then the crushing memory of her betrayal, the pain in his eyes, the wreckage she had caused. These memories were relentless. They brought waves of regret that threatened to drown her. She finally began to truly understand the depth of her mistakes. It wasn't just about the affair. It was about the disrespect she had shown. Disrespect for Ray, disrespect for their marriage, disrespect for their children, and, ultimately, disrespect for herself. She had chased a fleeting feeling, an illusion of excitement. She had prioritized her own selfish desires over the well-being of her family. This realization was a heavy weight on her soul. It was a truth she could no longer run from. She had to face the woman in the mirror. There were days when the guilt was overwhelming. She would cry for hours, cry for what she had lost, cry for the pain she had caused, cry for the foolish woman she had been. She knew she couldn't change the past, but she yearned for forgiveness from Ray, though she knew she might never get it. From her children, who were still trying to understand, and most importantly, from herself. This was perhaps the hardest forgiveness to find. How could she forgive herself for causing so much destruction? She realized that true happiness couldn't be found in someone else's attention. It couldn't be manufactured by excitement or novelty. It had to come from within, from a place of self-respect and integrity. She had looked for fulfillment in all the wrong places. She had neglected the quiet, steady love that was right in front of her. The life she had with Ray hadn't been perfect, but it had been real. It had been built on love and trust, and she had shattered it. This understanding was painful but necessary. It was the first step towards healing. Section 9. Wisdom forged in fire, lessons for a new life. Tashandra's journey was far from over, but she was learning. The lessons were hard-won, carved into her heart by pain and regret. She learned that true love is not about constant excitement. It's about commitment, respect, and shared values. It's about weathering the storms together, not running away when the waters get rough. She learned that the grass is rarely greener on the other side. Often it's just a different shade of green, with its own set of problems and challenges. And sometimes it's just an illusion. She learned the profound importance of self-respect. When you respect yourself, you make choices that honor your integrity. You don't seek validation from others in destructive ways. You understand your own worth. This was a lesson she wished she had learned earlier, before she had caused so much pain. She also learned about the sanctity of family. The bond she shared with her children was precious. She had damaged it, but she was determined to rebuild it, to be the mother they deserved, a mother who was honest about her mistakes. Making wise decisions became her new focus. She thought carefully before she acted. She considered the consequences. She tried to live with intention. She knew she couldn't undo the past, but she could shape her future. A future built on honesty and responsibility. A future where she valued what truly mattered. Love, family, integrity. These were the cornerstones of the life she now aspired to build. It was a slower, quieter life, but it felt more authentic, more real. Tashandra might never find romantic love again in the way she once knew it. Or perhaps she would when she was truly ready, when she had healed, but she was no longer desperately searching for it. She was learning to find contentment within herself. She was learning to be a better mother, a better person. Her scars remained. They were a reminder of her journey, of the love she had lost, and the lessons she had learned. And in those lessons there was a quiet strength, a hard-earned wisdom that would guide her steps forward.